Hello and welcome back to the Advancing Healthcare Innovation Show. I'm your host, Michael Stamatinos. And if you're new to us, we're super excited to have you here because we bring to you exciting conversations with leaders who are painstakingly shaping the future of healthcare. We happen to be very passionate around adoption, innovation, access, and leadership. And if this is your first time tuning in, let me tell you a little bit about what we do here. So we are a healthcare innovation company. We're focused on bringing stories of innovation within healthcare to life. Our aim is highlighting real people that are truly innovating within our space and giving them a platform to share their stories with the world. If you haven't checked out any historical episodes, make sure you hit the subscribe button now so that new content, which we have some incredible content that's planned and new amazing interviews that are being released, go right to your inbox. So for today, we've got a very special guest who's not only a pioneer in the field, but someone who truly embodies the spirit of advancement. Nio Queiro. Nio is a healthcare leader par excellence who's very impressive in terms of what she's done historically. She served as the Senior Vice President of Revenue Cycle Management at Boston-based Tufts Medicine. She's now the CEO of the Quiero Group. She's a standout figure in the industry who's consistently sparked transformation through the power of technology. She works tirelessly towards improving the experiences of healthcare patients. And in our discussion today, Nio is going to highlight her profound insights on just around healthcare innovation. With her at the forefront of a lot of game-changing projects, she's going to really articulate and share with us about how tech is positively impacting patient care and just enhancing operational processes within the space. So prepare to be inspired as we explore the rich tapestry of Nio's experiences. And we're going to be basically having a very candid discussion about her knowledge pool and her hands-on experiences. So Nio, welcome. We're absolutely thrilled to have you on the show with us today.
Mike, thank you so much for inviting me. I am excited. There is a lot to be excited about.
So, in our first conversation, I knew we were kind of be fast friends just because I think our viewpoint of innovation is similar. Let's maybe start there. What's your take on innovation? How do you define it? And what does it mean to you?
Innovation is taking a problem, simplifying it, and creating a solution that can literally disrupt the standard way we're doing things. And it's just looking at things with a different lens. But the beauty of that is that life is like a kaleidoscope. The lens keeps changing, the hues keep changing. And that gives us the opportunity for positive and continuous improvement. And I think, when you think of things, innovation is open to us all the time in everything that we can do. The beauty of it is now technology is aligning with our dreams and our visions, making it easier for us to actually test cases. And that's why, right now in healthcare, it is incredibly amazing the opportunities.
So let's talk about that. You've done some pretty remarkable tours of duty. Your CV is absolutely impeccable. You've had some amazing wins, some setbacks. Let's kind of talk through that a little bit because I don't think the audience really sort of understands that you're a national speaker, you're on the circuit, but you're also doing a lot of important work. Can you maybe just in a couple of minutes share a little bit of the work that you've been doing, and then maybe we can fast forward into some of the focused areas that you're concentrating on now?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was at Tufts Medicine, I was the recipient of one of the top innovators in modern healthcare, and for 2021. And the way that I received that award, it actually should have been a team sport award because innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum with one person. But we were in a situation that here we were in COVID, and all of a sudden, Tufts came out on CNN and all the local media outlets with lines of people trying to get COVID tests. And it was the saddest thing you ever saw because the weather was horrible. It was raining. It was 100 degrees. People were fainting. It was just a terrible situation. And I sat with my team and we said, how can we change this? And it was a team of not only finance people, operations people, but also the clinical people. because you see, it everybody has to be looking at that change and have the desire for the change. And we all had the same mission, was to make our patients have a better experience and take the fear out of the experience. So we
Right.
sat down together and we looked at the whole process from beginning to end, and we found all the opportunities that we could have to basically digitize it. And what we came from a person waiting an hour and 45 minutes to get a COVID test, to 13 minutes from the point that they took the QR code to they walked out to go to their car or walk home. And that happened because we all got together. And when we saw breaks, we were agile and we made changes. And we kept monitoring the system, but we created this streamline of everybody carrying each other's water. And from that moment, it was about how do we innovate other things? You know, and a lot of people think innovation is bots. No, bots are helpers, they're enablers. But innovation is when you actually are taking a use case and using all forms of technology, whether it be generative AI, whether it is bot use, whether it's chat GPT, all the different large language models that actually solve for a case. And that's what I have translated into the revenue cycle space in working on how to make it so that my staff does the critical thinking and the machine gives us the output to make us better. So that has been what I have been doing. And I did it at Tufts. And I decided to start my own firm because I really believed there were so many organizations that needed the help and didn't
Mm.
have the resources in their house to do it. So I've been focusing on the essential hospitals, you know, these small facilities that are serving the underserved and do not have the resources or finances to bring in a firm to help them with innovation. And I'm sitting with their IT departments and we're talking and we're putting in bots, we're solving use cases for population health, we're bringing in methodologies for them to increase their digital front door and actually provide better access, better communication for patients. So that is what fuels me every single day.
So clearly you're mission driven. Your higher purpose is around really using the gift skills and abilities that you've done, that you've deployed at, let's just call it, very famed institutions. And you're now saying let's do it at ones that aren't necessarily on the cover of modern healthcare. Let's do it on ones that are, you know, most people don't know. Let's
Absolutely.
pause for a second because I wanted to ask you a few just sort of deeper questions around the team. You know, you mentioned about that award. How big was that team? Like, how many people were on that team? You know, that
You know,
went from an hour and 45 down 13 minutes. You mentioned three different departments, but how big of a team was it?
right. So the team was actually 12 people.
Okay.
12 people and a major PR campaign for the rest of the institution. We were 12 people with 12,000 behind us,
Mm.
that were just cheering for us and picking up work that we would normally do so we would have the time to do the project, because there is a give and take in your day-to-day operation when you are focused on something that we had to turn around quickly. We were able to build this from zero to live and operational in 45 days. And that was a lot of testing and that was a lot of sleepless nights. Changing our website, working with our digital partners, um, creating contracts. We actually had to buy technology to do it. And we turned around those contracts within 2 weeks so that we could build. So it was 12 people working feverishly.
Wow. Is there a, from your experience, is there a magic number? What is the magic number in terms of a team, a group to get stuff done? Does it ever get to a point where things get too big? Or if things are too small, what have you found to be sort of that sweet spot?
You know, I think that when you go past 20, you start, you know, there's that old adage, If it's more than two pizzas, there's a problem because you can't make a decision in the room, right? In this case, in this case, I say five pizzas because everybody has a piece that they have to do.
Yeah.
Um, but when you get past 20, it's a little bit uncontrollable
Mm.
because now you have a situation that the second guessing starts happening. Common thought starts deteriorating. So about 20 is the right sweet spot that I have found. When my
Mm.
team gets too big, it slows it down. I
Yeah.
can't be as agile in pivoting after that point.
So it seems as though that you've embraced this startup mentality, setting up hypotheses, setting up these experiments, relentlessly testing, measuring, and iterating. What about that mentality do you think translates over into larger institutions? Or do you think that their mentality is different? Because is this just an isolated case? I guess what I'm really getting at is this an isolated case? Or do you think this is something that absolutely can be repeatable?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Not only repeatable, essential to future proof healthcare.
Mm.
It is essential. Look, reality is in the next 30 years, there's going to be so much change in our lives that if we are not innovating, we're going to be left behind. And you could see that in most of the large institutions, your large health systems. I, 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 I venture to bet it would be hard to find one that doesn't have an innovation center. Whether they call it Oshner, they call it Innovation Oshner. Duke, they have an innovation center. And I can go on and on. MGB has an innovation center. Why? Because reality is, it would be foolish to let go of the technology that can inform us and guide us to good decision making so that we can now have a critical workforce that can actually guide and move things forward quicker with better level of quality. So in healthcare, quality is everything. We're dealing with lives. And even when we're dealing in the finances, we're still dealing with lives because there's financial toxicity that will hold the person back from getting care because they think they can't afford it. But think about this, there's this wonderful technology that I just deployed that finds all of the benefits around the country by disease processing, by pharmacy, by every single level you can think of. And when a
Mhm.
patient says, I have this type of cancer, it gives them all the benefit opportunities to offset them not being able to get care. That's a game changer that doing it on your own with humans could never happen. But a human holds the hand of the person through that process. And now I've elevated my human to be a charge, a change agent, a navigator, and deploy empathy for that patient.
Yeah, it's essential. It's essential what you just mentioned there. Is the tech can drive something, but at the end of the day, it's the human relationship that really bridges those two things together. You mentioned that there's a certain situation where you guys are really under the gun. How do you create those types of sets of circumstances now, meaning the urgency for people to want to take action and to do it cohesively and doing it while they're in alignment? What Talk us through that process. Talk about how you think through that and how you organize that in a way to make that actually happen repeatably.
Right. It starts with awareness. You must provide people clear, defined awareness of the problem. And then from that point, people have to make that decision, understand the level of commitment to solving that problem that the group has. Remember, when we're talking in the projects that I do, I'm dealing with clinicians, I'm dealing with operators, and I'm dealing with finance people. You couldn't find two more diverse, adverse groups. However, there's always a common thread, and the common thread is the patient and giving good quality. That's the
Mm.
common thread. So you bring it back to that thread and you understand the appetite of your group. And that helps you understand also how much you can go deep into your use case. Why do things fail? Is because we boil the ocean. So let's start high at the appetite level. And then from there, we start designing together right where they're comfortable, right where they're at. Then now you have people working towards the same mission, same due north. We design, we test, we figure it out again agilely. We celebrate the loss, we celebrate this failure because the failure informed us, I'm not doing that again. And we go to the next thing. And then we
Celebrating the
finally get
failure?
to, you have to celebrate the failure. Failure is wonderful. Failure tells you what you did that it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Failure informs you of what may be the right way to do it. Failure gives you the power to move forward. And when you celebrate the failure, people feel safe and they're willing to try something new.
Give us an example of one of that, historically or recently. Just
Sure, absolutely. So I'll give you a perfect example. The other use case that did with the benefit package. When I implemented that, we made a mistake in selecting the wrong states benefits associated to this particular organization. Everybody thought they tested it a million times, thought they had the right states. It happens. The wrong states, when the final turn the button on, were associated. When the navigator went to basically run the algorithm, it gave her all these things for California, and she happened to be in Wisconsin. So it could have been a, you see, I'm never going to use the system again. This is a disaster. You guys don't know what you're doing. But she didn't look at it like that. She looked at it as, hey, does California provide us, benefits? Could we get benefits from the California people?
Mhm.
So she looked at it as a question, curiosity. Of course, what we said, actually, no, but we did find two benefit programs that came from California that actually we could use in Wisconsin from that mistake. So we celebrated those two, fixed the system, and now our algorithm learned more. So even in failure, there's success.
Absolutely. And any other really interesting little wins that you think are on the flip side of that? Because listen, everyone wants to talk about the sexiness of innovation. We just
Yeah.
talked about some of the things that obviously are setbacks, but you've really kind of flipped it on its head. Say, hey, look, failing is learning. The quicker you learn, the quicker you fail, the quicker you learn, the quicker you can iterate. Now
Yeah,
let's
I
talk about
think
more of the little wins.
the little ones was the impact on the team of that failure. When they saw our quick reaction, when they saw that we listened and appreciated their feedback, it created a whole new culture.
Hmm.
It created a culture of unison and knowing that their voice mattered and that this was a tool that is a continuously learning tool and they're a part of the solution. So it actually could created a synergy that was unexpected, but it happened. The other thing that happened, it gave our board and our senior leadership a new way of looking at projects and how they sponsor projects. Because normally what boards say, give me the updates, tell me when it's good. Now they understood that the project is a never ending project. It is a project that's fluid. It is a project that we see the good, we see the areas of opportunity, and we keep going at it and going at it because it doesn't end. So it actually did a lot of new thinking within the organization.
It sounds like you're also in the game of change management, modifying behaviors to these levels of acceptance. Talk about that in sort of your most recent work. How much of that groundwork is laid, up front for people to understand this? Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I think that's just as much as important, at least from my perspective, as the tech, if not more.
Absolutely. When I'm brought in right now, I'm working with two CEOs, and I am their innovation strategist. Um, you know, uh, and the step one is truly working with the senior leadership. It has to start at the top because you have to create a safe environment and teaching them what innovation really is, explaining the language and explaining how it's going to impact their organization. Because if you do not have the thinking surrounding, and that's why I actually went and got certified in leadership training, so that I could explain to the leaders on how innovation is going to impact their workforce, but also their operation. Because if they are not leading in an innovation mindset, their innovation project, number one, will never get implemented. How many failures have we seen and people just giving up,
Yeah.
right? And it has everything to do that the leadership doesn't understand how these projects really work and the investment of actual emotions, the investment of actual deployment strategy that goes along with it. They forget that piece. They think I hire a company, this is the use case, make it happen, good luck to you. That's how we've always done technology before. This is not the same. This is about changing every aspect of our work, but also our mind. So we spend a lot of time with that. I spend time also with the IT team. There is no blaming, there is no pointing. Um, it has to be a judgment free zone. Now, it doesn't mean that we're a love, I love you, you love me, Barney. That's not happening because accountability has to be in it. So you have curiosity, accountability, and openness to failure and continuous improvement. And if you embrace that and teach others and be the role model of that, then you will have positive and continuously thriving innovation projects. If you give up on one aspect of it, your failure rate is going to be higher.
Yeah, there's a
And
level of discipline that you need to have. And I've said this before numerous times. The best innovators are the best executors, and they have the
mhm,
most consistency. And they are pig-headed and they are determined, which doesn't
and
necessarily mean it's lovey-dovey all the time, like you mentioned.
yeah, and the thing about it, it's also it's about being quick and agile and keep it moving. Do not take breaks in it because a break basically gives fear to come in and the desire to stop. Let's stop the project. When you hear people say let's stop the project, that's because you've gone into a whirlwind of conversations of everything that can go wrong and you've forgotten about everything that could go right. So if you keep testing, if you keep modeling, you have a better prophecy of success than if you spend your time on the doubt parameter.
Mm. Innovation, to me, is either made or broken in the beginning, not at the end, and not in the
Correct.
midst. So it sounds like what you're saying is let the people know that expect for things to go off track. But
That's
here's what
right.
we're going to do when they do go off track. Again, managing expectations up front. That's sort of change management, at its
101.
core.
Yep.
Yeah. What what about some of these newer projects outside of the change management? What have you seen in terms of the patterns of problems? Are you seeing a pattern that's been emerging, and what is that like top tier stack of problems to the degree that you're able to share that you've been focused on now?
Yeah. I'm being careful because a lot of this stuff is proprietary, and I can't really get into
Yeah,
it. But and we're not going there. But one thing that's really funny is I remember my Deloitte days, and in Deloitte they always said never overpromise, over deliver. Never overpromise, just over deliver. Beautiful concept. What has been happening in our innovation space is the inverse. It's overpromise, underdeliver. And the reason that has been the case is because the use cases that are being brought forth are the use cases of the innovator or the company that's trying to get into innovation, that's trying to do a use case in a healthcare paradigm. It is not the use case of the operator or the healthcare environment. And as long as we continue to make these hypotheses that are based on a vacuum and not actually go to the work, understand the work, and build your use cases from the truth, not what's comfortable, but the truth, we will continue to see innovation projects fail. And that's what we did when I gave you the one that we got the award for. We went to the work. And that's why it was successful.
so let's just say we're having a conversation a year from now, and you've been kind of in the work, you've been in the weeds, executing, doing your thing. What would make you really satisfied in terms of the progress on a larger scale? What would need to happen?
So, my big satisfaction is the workforce, the major changes that are going to happen with the workforce. Um, it is exciting, and I'm spending a great deal of time going actually to the high school level and starting to work with youth on thinking about career paths that are very different than the ones that they knew to be true in the past. Data analysts, and uh, just people that really understand the innovation models and understand also how to do change management, project management, critical thinking. That data scientists, that is going to be in every aspect of healthcare, in the financial realm, ops. Of course, we already are seeing all the different designs, the geno designs that are coming out. There is going to be so many opportunities. And what we are going to have to do is to stop competing with all these external companies such as Amazon for workers and start developing our future workforce by really skilling them up, taking them when they're young, and modeling them into healthcare the way we used to do it. Remember Career Day? We have to go back to that. We have to build our workforce. And as we are building our technology, it will inform the type of people and the needs of the workforce. And right now, we're a little bit in flux, but in a year from now, it'll be much more clearer. And I think we have great work to be done.
Absolutely. Well, how do folks kind of keep tabs on the work that you're doing? I know you're on the circuit, you're doing a lot of conferences, you're doing keynotes. Outside of that, how do folks keep in touch with Nio and follow your journey?
Absolutely. So LinkedIn, Nio Queiro on LinkedIn, and also go to the cairogroup.com, and you will basically see all our services, but also have the opportunity to hear some of my speaking engagements and link back to different events that are in play. And
Uh,
also, my book is coming out. I forgot to tell you that.
I was gonna say,
So I
tell
have
us
a book.
what's up. Tell us what's new in the life. You give us a shout out here. Come on.
So So my book is coming out in March, and please go to my website. More to come on that. We will be doing a whole promo and interview regarding the book that's going to come out in November. So more to come. Please, Nio Queiro on LinkedIn you will see a lot of fun things that are up ahead.
Amazing. So we always talk about how healthcare is a team sport, and we don't say that we have an audience, we have a community. How can this community add value to you? If there's one ask that you have of our community, how can we best add value to you and your mission and your purpose?
I think the most important thing is, if you have a need, for someone to just help you through the journey of understanding how to expand your footprint into innovation, or just get your team, your hospital to understand the definitions. What really is AI, and how do you really use bots, and so on? Give me a chance to have that conversation with you. Give me a chance to help you through your journey. Not everyone can afford the Deloittes, but us smaller boutique firms can make a difference and help you through your journey and make a change in your environment. And I want to be part of that. I want to be that change agent to help you succeed.
I've seen it firsthand, folks. Nio is a force. She is a catalyst. She doesn't play around. She doesn't mess around. She gets stuff done. So if you found this content helpful for you, those that have been listening in, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Would you mind sharing it also on social media, on any of your channels, with your networks? We're just grateful, because the more folks that get an opportunity to listen to this, to listen to the stories, that hear the wins, that hear the learnings, the better off we are going to be in terms of advancing healthcare forward. So Nio, as you kind of come into this next chapter of your sort of journey, we'd love to kind of continue to keep tabs on you, and the door is always open for you to come back onto the show at any given point, and just share more of the learnings with us. So thank you, and we look forward to our next conversation with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike. It has been a joy.
My pleasure.